I just feel like we should be doing something. Anything could be done at this point, and it would suffice. I just don't think we should be living like this anymore. And I'm ready to burn shit down about it. Realistically, capitalism is killing us all, and it's not even softly. It's very loud. It's very blatant, and we're just on standby. Like in 2020, I was chronically online, as a lot of us were, because obviously pandemic, everyone's in their house, and I saw this tweet that had like forecasted that in 2024 we were going to see the crumble of like capitalism. So I had been actively, which I was like, at the time I was like, I gotta wait 4 more years. But you know, I was really hoping that by the end of 2024 shit was gonna like be collapsed and we were gonna start rebuilding. But I feel like a lot of the like cracks in the foundation were there and have grown since 2020, and definitely 2024 is probably the worst of it that we've seen so far. But I'm like, it's just not happening quick enough for me. Like, this is probably one of the biggest oppressive systems that we deal with in this current age and time. And we're like, no one's even really living. Like, we are all just merely surviving. And like, I'm sick of it. Like, is no one else sick? I just feel like everyone else online is like, yeah, I hate this shit. But like, at any point, we could do something. And I'm not saying like, oh, well, let's boycott this, let's boycott that. No, I'm saying like, we could just all stop showing up for work one day. Collectively, all decide not to pay our rent and our mortgages. Collectively, not pay our credit cards, not pay for our utility. Like, just as a whole, if everybody just stopped, everything would collapse. Like, oh, they're gonna cut off my light bill. Not if the people who work there are on strike as well and don't go into work to cut off anybody's light, or if they just stand their ground and they don't. Oh, I'm gonna get evicted. Who's gonna evict you if the people who would have done the eviction don't work? You know what I'm saying? Like, they make you feel like you don't have an option and you have to keep going, and that's why we've been stuck in this loop for so long. But genuinely, at any moment, we could all just say, no, actually, no, heart, no, nah, nar, like, no, like any language, we could just literally just start saying no. And like, it would have no choice but to collapse. I feel like I'm at this point in my adulthood where, I don't know, stick with me for this train of thought, because I feel like I think about this a lot, but I always think of like the older generations that came before me, and I'm technically Gen Z, like an older aged Gen Z, I guess if you want to call it that. And I just remember like analyzing like the older generations before me, like the Xers or like boomers or like millennials, whatever, and I feel like there's a point in adulthood for all of them where they just get to the point where they're like, oh, so this is just adulthood and I just have to suck it up and like take it, and we just continue on living like this, even though you're miserable, you hate your life, you hate the, like, you know, 9 to 5, you go in every single day, and it's like, you can't tell me you don't, because you come home, you treat your loved ones like shit, like, you don't take care of yourself, you have a bunch of health problems from all the stress, like, you don't like it. Let's just be honest, let's just be real. And you know, I feel like for them, that is what life was. And I feel like for me, I go back and forth between being like, do I just need to like submit or like commit to just living this life like they did? Or is there a way that I can be a part of like this new generation where we just don't want to like take shit that people had to take in the past and just be like, no, like we're just done. And like, I'm always in between, you know, losing, I don't even want to call it naivety, because I don't think it's naive to want better for like your future, or like for the future of where you live, or the people around you, or those you love, or anything like that. And I just feel like capitalism wins every single time. One of us just resigns and is just like, well, this is just life. You just have to go work like 40 plus hours a week and don't get to see your family or spend time with those you love, or, you know, take care of yourself, or deserve access to healthy foods, or like clean water. And like, I don't believe that. Like, I don't believe I was put here just to be a cog in the machine. Like, I wouldn't have as many like gifts or talents or like dreams or hopes or aspirations like in my heart and in my spirit if that was the case. And I feel like that's the case with so many people, but so many people get that stomped out because of this type of life that like we're forced to live. And it's not like oh, well, I'll just go to school and get like a high paying job. Like, that's a lie they sell you so that you can keep going with the capitalism of it all. Because what? Then you give them money when you are going to school. And if you don't come from a rich family, then it's like, oh, you could take out loans, which then keep you in debt for a really long time. Or like, you know, just, and then it's like you do that. And now look, there's so many people in my age group, or even the millennials, where it's like, you know, they followed that structure. They followed that routine of like, okay, I got the high paying job, I got the degrees and all of that. And I'm still like not even able to like live freely or live as comfortably as I would like to, because everything keeps rising and the cost of living is astronomical, like honestly around the entire country. And it's like they're just going to keep doing it because people will just get another job, do a side hustle. Oh, this is how you run this business so that you can make money while at home and not having to do this, and just all of these things so that you can kind of keep up. But like, you're never able to keep up because you're one health scare away from like bankruptcy and debt. Like, I'm just tired of not feeling good, but it's not because of like my life and my own choices. It's because of all these oppressive like systems that I have to exist in. You know how happy I would be if I did not have to deal with the repercussions of capitalization and colonization? I would be in peace. And they don't want that because they don't make money when we're in peace. But why is that any of our problems? And why is money even that important? You know what I'm saying? Like, we give it that value of like, oh, you know, it's worth like, say, some people kill people to get money, or like some people enslave people to get money. And why do we give that much value to this thing that is like, honestly, if tomorrow the economy collapsed, which it could, I feel like we don't keep that in mind. Like, it's not a foolproof system. Tomorrow, everything we know as we know it could collapse. The internet, money, and all of that shit. And it's like you just have this piece of paper and it's actually worthless. We could start a new society tomorrow where we're like, actually, the biggest form of currency is sand. So the more bags of sand you have, the richer you are. And y'all would go clear out beaches. Like, I don't know. I hope I'm not getting too abstract here and that y'all are losing my point or losing, you know, what I'm trying to say. It's just like, none of this shit matters. And if we all were allowed to just like actively just do the things that we wanted to, everyone would be happier. People would not be killing themselves. People wouldn't be as oppressed. People wouldn't be as depressed. Like, we would have time for community and relationships, and it wouldn't even be self-care. It would just be like living. Like, we wouldn't have to exist in a society where everyone is fucking angry. And you know how I know that? Because people just like show it in all of these crazy ways. Like, if you were happy with your life, you wouldn't be fighting with people in TikTok comments, arguing back and forth about like opinions. If you were happy with your life, you wouldn't be dragging yourself out of bed every day to go to the job that you don't want to go to. And it's like, I feel like people also come up with the argument of, oh, well, how do we exist now without these, you know, these things that we've been taught, or I guess at this point, have lived so far on, like, convenience-wise. And it's like, we can still have all of these things. I just think the system needs to be tweaked. Like, it just needs to be reworked. First of all, dismantled, shut down, and then rebuilt in a way that's more sustainable and, like, you know, everyone can then have gain. Like, yes, we need people to just do certain jobs now. We have a lot of jobs that do need to be done. But that doesn't mean that, like, you should spend your entire life doing all of that. And then when you're, like, 65, okay, now you can enjoy the rest of your life. Girl, what's left? And especially the way you work, people, they don't even get that usually. Like, that's the biggest lie. And we are living through it because we have now the biggest generation of retired folks who have gone back to work because they can't afford to live. So it's like you sold all these dreams to the people and they bought it, and it makes you money, and you get to live your life and do whatever you want from your yacht and your jet skis and, I don't know, off the Amalfi Coast or something. And it's like, you don't have any guilt? And obviously they don't, because they keep doing it, because once again, we gave that money that value, and like they get to enjoy the fruits of that labor or whatever. But it's not even their labor. I don't know. I just feel like don't y'all just want that? Like, I just feel like sometimes it just feels like I'm the only person, or like me and my partner talk about this all the time, but it just feels like sometimes we're almost like crazy for just like wanting people to like be happy and get to like live lives that aren't like oppressed or like restrained in this way. Like, is it so crazy to wish that like, oh, if I'm sick and I go to the hospital, I don't end up in so much debt that like I'm gonna have to spend the next like 5 years trying to pay it off, or like, and then it's like if I can't pay that debt, it's gonna go to collections, which then they might sue me for, and then they'll just garnish my wages, but I didn't pay them because I couldn't afford a cent outside of my bills and my rent. So then I'll be now homeless because them getting that money when they are a multi-million-dollar company was way much more than like me being able to like, I don't know, buy groceries, keep my lights on, feed my kids. I just feel like we've strained, like, there's this like saying that people used to put on like social media that was like, every day we stray farther and farther from God's light. But I just feel like I don't think we were put here for this, and I don't think we should continue to live like this. And I feel like we shouldn't have to have 17 side hustles and 3 Airbnbs to just avoid debt from being sick, or like debt from, oh, I want to go to school and get a better education. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just sick of this shit. And like, capitalism, I am preying on your downfall. Not even just preying on it. I'm on my hands and knees begging for it. I'm screaming for it. I'm crying for it. You're dying for it. Like, I want your ass dead. And that's been my TED Talk. Thanks, everybody. I recommend reading Pet by Akwaeke Emezi and Bitter by Akwaeke Emezi, because I think those 2 books gave me a lot of like hope for what the future could come, or like how we might be able to like how much despair we're in now, but like what the future might look like if like we're just willing to just like stop putting in the work in places that like put lines like billionaires' pockets, and just start putting in the work in the ways that matter, like in our communities, with our loved ones, in making people safe, in rehabilitation, in sustainable living, in just all of these ways that like actually matter and actually would fulfill everybody. Like, yeah, I don't know. They're a great author, and those 2 works were like really, really good. So yeah, thanks for coming to my TED Talk. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please drop them below, because I would like to discuss. And if y'all are ready to like get to work as far as like the work of dismantling this system, let me know. I'm ready. I've been ready to clock in since 2020. I feel like I got radicalized then, and then I've just been like increasingly so, but obviously no one else is at that, not saying no one else, but like the masses are more concerned about keeping up with the status quo than like dismantling oppressive systems. So when y'all are ready to do that shit and y'all are really ready to do that work, you know where to find me. I'm about to crash out. I'm about to crash out. Bomba. Okay. Party like a rock star. Totally do. Good morning, grand rising, brethren. Hello, kitty. Oh my goodness. That's anger issues, you know what I'm saying? That's what that's called. Because you could have just said no if you didn't like the pet. Oh my gosh. Anyways, like I was saying, hello everybody. I made some Jamaican chicken soup this week, well yesterday, because my partner was sick and I saw a recipe for it on Pinterest and I was like, you know what? Is it the angle? I'm like way too high. Like I'm up here. So if I pet you, it's gonna be the angle you don't like. And then you're gonna fight me. You sorry? It's okay, I forgive you. Anyway. But yeah, so I made some Jamaican chicken soup. And if I do say so myself, it looks fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. Like, can y'all see that? Got some corn, some potatoes, some carrots, some dumpling, some chicken. Yeah, big up, blah, 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 blah. In the recipe, she said that people usually eat it like Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings or something like that. So I'm like, oh, well, it's a Sunday morning. Well, it's now the afternoon. But this is my first meal of the day, so it's breakfast for me. So I have that. I have 2 pieces of the Dave's Killer bread or whatever, just for a little bit of extra protein on the side, because I'm trying to prioritize protein this year. But yeah, it's the first Sunday of 2025. And I took a bite already, but I didn't get to have everything, so I wanted to record like my actual reaction. But I do want to wash my hands really quick since Missy over here wanted to bite people. See, let's bite. So let's get a little bit of chicken. Okay. All right. You know? And it actually does taste Jamaican. Like, I think it's the thyme that like maybe gives Jamaican flavors to me in my head or something. Like, I feel like there's something, because I made recently like a Colombian soup, called ahiako, and it doesn't use like many herbs besides like one that like grows in Colombia, and then like, yeah, that was pretty much it. So I feel like this distinctly though is tasting Jamaican to me, which I didn't really grow up having too many Jamaican soups. Yeah, I feel like the food I would have growing up Jamaican was never really soup. The dumpling, nice. I am very proud of this soup, especially since it's my first time and I don't usually make like, I'm gonna try to more now, but I don't usually make I don't know, like maybe Caribbean cuisine. Like if I cook, like Karina will make like Trini stuff like all the time, and like she's like tried to make like dairy jean and stuff like that for me before, but I don't really attempt it because I feel like I'm always nervous that if I do it and it's not good, it's like, oh, I failed the ancestors. But it's like you can only do it and get better. Like that's all you can do. And this, like, for a first attempt, I'm actually really proud of it. Like, it tastes good, and it's like really, it's not super cold, but you know, it's kind of winter. Like, it's nice to have soups in this time of season, and I would definitely make this again. Like, I don't feel like it was that hard to make. And yeah, I'm proud of myself. So I'm gonna enjoy this breakfast now, and I will catch y'all later. Cheers.